Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Welcome back again. So today's tutorial will be about using PostgreSQL. A lot of new developers using JSON for their Discord bots, but also they want to move to something good like PostgreSQL so they can manage their bot and scale it more. So let's see how we can use PostgreSQL in a Discord bot, and we will be writing the bot from scratch. So let's get started. First of all, let's create a simple Discord bot. I think the text size is small. Let me make it bigger. Okay. Okay, so let's create a file that will be your um, main.py file. Okay, that's not p, it's py. Okay, and let's create a bot folder for now, and in the bot folder all our bot files will live, and we'll just import them and use them. So here we will have a init.py, just like a Python package. And first of all, let's use the nextcord of the fork of Discord. Actually this is a maintained fork of the discord.py library. So pip install nextcord, and if you want more performance and speed, you can pass speed here. And if you want voice support, you can just pass voice. You can pass multiple, but we will just use the speed for now. Okay, so it's installed. Now we can create a bot. So from nextcord.exe, so we are importing the commands module, so we can create a bot. Let's create a class for our bot, and let's name it tutorbot, and it will be extending the commands.bot. Okay, so then we need a init function. It has some information, we don't need every of them. We can remove this and this. So command prefix and options, that's it for now. And let's create the async the onReady function. Okay, so this will get called when the bot is ready, and we can create the bot here. And let's do this and give it a command prefix. For now we will have a default prefix which will be a question mark, but uh, we will see how we can make it customizable, so every server admins can customize the prefix. Okay, so let's import here. So from bot, import bot, and then we can just do bot.run and the token here. So let's make a variable for token, and let's copy token. So I have this test bot here, so let's just copy the token and paste it here, so we can just use token. Okay, now if we run the main.py file, let's see, python main.py, it should show us that the bot is ready. Okay, you can see it shows that the username is ready, so that means our bot is ready. Now we have to see how can we configure PostgreSQL. So If you want to install PostgreSQL locally, you can go to Google and search for PostgreSQL. So in the first website you can go here, you can just download it, but we will use a cloud for now because for that we don't have to do much, but you can also use this one, and this is very simple, not too hard. Let's see. So for the cloud database provider I will use Railway. If you search for railway.app, you will find this website. This is actually, I think this is a new website, but it works well. So let's log in. You can log in with email, but I will log in with GitHub. Okay, so you can see I don't have any project, so let's create one. And you can see this provision PostgreSQL. It will take some time to create the project. Let's wait. Okay, so the project has been created. You can, if you click this PostgreSQL here, you can see there is a connect tab. You can create a table here by manually giving some names, but we will use this connect. So you can see PostgreSQL connection URL. You have to copy this one, and this is secret, so don't share it with anyone. Okay, so we have the PostgreSQL connection URL. If we go here, and for the database operations we will use a library called databases. If you go to pypi and search for databases, you will find this is databases 0.5.2, and as we are using PostgreSQL you have to install it with this PostgreSQL extra. So let's just copy this one, come here and just run it. So you can see PostgreSQL has been installed with databases. So if we uh, do like from databases import database and then self.database is equals this database object, and inside we have to paste that uh, connection URL. So let's copy it again, paste it here, and then inside on ready we can do self dot database dot connect, and that's it. And also you have to avoid it because it's an coroutine. You can see it's a coroutine, so you have to put avoid before it. You cannot do it inside def because def is not an async function, so you cannot avoid there. So in on ready you just avoid it and connect the database. So if we run our bot again and everything is fine, we should be seeing no error. Okay, so let's wait for it to start the bot. You can see it shows bot is ready, so that means our connection worked. Let's close the bot, clear everything, and now we will set up some database schema. So let's create a folder called utils. You can name it anything you want. So inside util, let's create an sql.py file which will handle all the database operations. So async def create tables. So it will create the tables, and it will require a connection. Okay, so all I need is a connection, and then we'll create the table. So first table will be the prefixes table. So if we say prefixes table, and then let's write the schema for prefixes table. So first of all, if you don't know about SQL, you can find on the docs, but let's go through it. So first of all, create table uh, prefixes. So we will create a table for all the prefixes of all servers, and inside of prefixes we will have two information. So guild ID, which will be a big integer, so this is a big int, and then primary key, it will be the primary key and it will be unique because uh, guild ID should not occur two times in one table. Okay, and then the prefix will be text. You can also do it varchar. Varchar requires a length for it, so if you want the prefix not more than 10 characters, so you can just pass 10 here. If you put 20, you can create prefix that has a 20 length, but if you don't want any limitation, you can just put text. So text is whatever you put here. For our case, let's put varchar. And let's make it 10, so it will be not null, and we can have a default prefix. So what will be the default prefix? Let's put it a question mark. So if we don't pass any prefix, it will put question mark for that. Okay, so next we will have to do is await connection dot execute. We have to execute this schema, and let's pass the prefixes table schema. So we are getting the connection, we created this schema, and we are creating the table using the execute. So there is one problem that if you run this command or the function for the first time, it will show no error, it will work fine, but next time you run this schema again, it will show that prefixes table already exists. So we have to pass a text that if not exist, so it will create the table only if it does not exist. So if not exist, so that's it, we created this function. Now if we come here and import that from dot utils dot sql import create tables, and here on ready we can just do avoid create tables and the self.database here. Let's run it and see if we got any errors. It takes some time because our internet is slow, but when you are running it in a server, it will be fast enough. So let's stop this, and if we come over the postgresql, you can see we have now a table called prefixes, and in prefixes we have two column, that is guild ID and prefix, so that we have successfully created table for our uh, prefixes. Now we have to use that to insert, update or delete the prefixes. So let's see how we can do that. First of all, let's create some cogs which will handle all the uh, configuration thing like this, changing prefixes and stuff. Okay, so that will be the config.py file from nextcord.ext. So it will be a config cog. Okay, we need the bot also here, and store it in a local variable so we can use that. Now let's create a command. And let's name the command prefix, and it will receive a parameter which will be a new prefix, and new prefix will be str. Okay, so whenever someone calls this prefix command and passes a new prefix, it will change the current prefix of the server to the new one. Okay, let's give it a talk string. Okay, so that's for now. We have to first of all check that if this server is in our table, because for now if you go here, this table is empty. That means the server information is not stored here. So first of all we have to check if the current server is in the table or not. So first of all, let's create a function async def get current data, and get current data will require the field ID which we are checking. Okay, so first of all we have to check if the data already exists or not. So you might know that this bot has a database object, so database dot fetch, that will be 1. So we are fetching 1 data, so it will be an await. So what we will fetch is the current prefix of this guild ID. So if there is no data for this guild ID, it will return none, but we will handle that. So select all from prefixes where guild ID is equals to guild ID, and then we have to pass guild ID to this variable. Okay, so we are calling the database and we are fetching one record that select all from prefixes where guild ID is equals to this guild ID variable, and then we are passing this guild ID variable using a dictionary as key value. So we are getting all the data. Let's store this data in a variable. So if not data, so if there is no data, that means this guild ID is not in the uh, database. So we have to insert we have to insert data for this guild. Let's do that. So await self.bot dot execute. So we have to insert, so insert into, so we are inserting data into prefixes, and then we will have two parameters which will be guild ID and prefix. And if you don't want to pass any prefix, you can do that, because as you can see in prefix we have a default prefix. So if you don't pass prefix, it will set that as a question mark. So we can actually omit this and values. uh, you might notice that this guild ID have a colon here, so that means it's a variable. If you don't put this, so that will be just a string or something. If you want to use variables, then you can just put a colon and then define that variable in a dictionary. So that is a cool feature of databases. Okay, so we are saying that we are going to insert into prefixes, and the guild ID will be this variable. So also we have to pass that variable. That's it. And if there is a data, so if there is a data, we can just return data. Okay, that's it. And then so if you don't have any data, it will create an data, and if you don't have a data, it will just create a data. So that's simple. We can also, you can see this looks very long, so we can just do db is equals to self.pot.database. So we can just put db here and db here. That is much more readable. And for this one, you can just format it a little bit so this looks good. Just formatting it, nothing special here. Okay, so this is now small and much more readable. So now we have to call this get current data, and then the guild id. So guild id is in ctx, so ctx dot guild dot id. Okay, so when there is no prefixes, we are inserting prefix. Now as this function is for changing prefix, we will have another function for changing prefix. So let's add that function here. Okay, let's wrap it. So async def change prefix, and change prefix will require two things. First of all, guild id, and then the new prefix. Okay, so for the db we will use self.bot.database, and then we will just do await db.execute. For that we will if we are actually changing it, so that is a basically update. So update prefixes set prefix is equals to new prefix. So we are changing prefix and setting the prefix to new prefix via guild id is equals guild id, and then just pass the data for that. So new prefix will be new prefix, and guild id will be guild id. So we are using two variables here, so we are passing two variable. Let's put it down. Okay, that's it. And the next thing we'll just do await self.change prefix, and we're calling this function, so we need the ctx guild id, and then the new prefix will be the prefix that the user passed, and then we can just say await ctx get send. Prefix has been changed. New prefix. Okay, so we have created a command that first of all checks for data. If it don't have any data, it will just create a data, and if it has, it will just return the data. And next is we will change the prefix uh, in the database. So that's actually all. So let's add the setup function here. Okay, and next is we have to load this. So we created a cog. So in the onReady function we can also load extension. Well, let's create another function for loading extension. So load extension, and load extension requires the name. So the name is cogs.config, and we might need to put a dot before. We can also do bot to bot.cogs.config. That will also work. Okay, and next is we have to call that function. So self.load extension. Okay, let's try to run the bot, see if we get any errors. Okay, we got no error. Let's go to Discord and try this. I have this one here and the bot is also here. So the prefix is question mark. So if we do help, we should see that the config cog has a prefix command. If we do help for the prefix command, it should show us help for that. You can see change server prefix and it requires new prefix. Okay, so prefix and the new prefix should be comma. Let's do this. Okay, if we get any error, okay, we made a typo here, we made it guilty. Okay, it is actually not guild, it is GU. Okay, so let's restart the bot and run it again. Okay, bot is ready. Now if we call the function again, let's see what happens. So we got another. Okay, so this is what we did here is what are this? Okay, that is actually guild ID, not GUILLD. Okay, I have made some typo, sorry for that. Let's start. Okay, let's try again. Do we have any error? We have no errors, and you can see prefix has been changed to question mark. And now if we come over our prefixes and reload, you can see this field ID has a prefix question comma. Let's change again. So prefix and to this one. Okay, so it says prefix has been changed to that, and if we reload, you can see prefix is now that. So we have successfully created a command that can change prefix and also create and you can see when we first created this table, we didn't have this row here, but when we executed the command, as we don't have this row, it created that row first and then changed prefix to that. And when we are executing command again, we are not actually creating any existing row, we just any new row, we are just updating the existing row. Okay, so that means our prefix function is working. So now even after changing prefix, if we do like help, it should work, but it's not, because we are using the static prefix still. If you see, the command prefix is not dynamic, so we have to make it dynamic. So for that we will create a command, not command, a function, async get prefix, and get prefix will receive two parameters. First one is bot and second one is message. And then what it will do, it will search for data on the database. So that's basically these two function here. Okay, so let's just copy this function from here to this location, get current data, and as we don't have self here, we will just have the database, so we don't need this one. Put database here, database here. Okay, I think it's okay. Okay, so first of all we will have to do await get current data. So if you invite the bot and don't change prefix, the old data will not be in the table automatically. So first of all we will have to check for data again. Okay, so first of all we have to pass the database here. So bot dot database, and the guild id will be message.guild.id, and then we will have to do uh, data is equals we are fetch one, we are using fetch one, so select all from prefixes where guild id will be the guild id. Okay, there is a equal, and then the guild id will be message.guild.id. That's it. Let's reformat it a little bit. Okay, so the prefix will be data prefix. So if we have a data, we can just get that column using this syntax, and then we have to return prefix. And in this pod.py file we have to import that, so from.utils.sql import get prefix, and instead of this one we just pass the function here. That's it. Let's stop the bot and run it again. Okay, and as you can see we have changed prefix. So if we do help now, it will take some time because the database is loading. Yes, so you can see we changed prefix, so now it's working with this. If we do help, it will not work because prefix is not that. But if we do like change prefix again to question mark, it will change the prefix to question mark, so now help will work. That means we have successfully made our prefix customizable. but you can see every time we do a command, it calls the get prefix function. That is not good for performance, because every time, every message, we are calling the database for uh, getting the data. So in the next video I will show you how can you optimize this and get data even faster. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next tutorial. Thank you.